Hello, Jim Fleeler, Vice President of Sales for Charlotte Products in Canada. Thanks for joining us today on our YouTube video here. We're in the middle of COVID-19. We've been doing our weekly webinars talking about training people, teaching them how to lower the risk of an outbreak in their facility. And recently we started talking about our floor care processes and the 5 critical elements involved, one of them being in-term maintenance. So on our weekly webinars and on our website afterwards, you're going to see all of these videos that are available for each and every one of you to utilize for training material and really help protect employees, improve their wellness, improve sustainability, and also lower the risk of an outbreak. So one of the things today that we're going to talk about is deep stripping. That's one of the processes. It's the most costly by far, that process. It's the most labor intensive. It's the one that in our industry demands the most specialized skill as well. There's a lot of employee slip and fall hazards involved during that process and complaints from facilities really with strong odors and things like that, and I think we can help you address that. What we do have at Enviro-Solutions, we have an unbelievable floor care program that really lays out all of the elements involved with each one of those processes. Product selection, product codes, Ecologo certification, UL approval, things like that. Square footage, coverages, yields, and everything. And it's really also includes soft care, which is carpet care, and things like that in there. And that's available on the website. But one thing I'd like to tell you is in the next few weeks, we're going to have a detailed list of each one of the individual procedures that will identify what safety protocol you need to follow, what PPE, what tools and equipment you require for each one of these processes, and then each step by step, all the way through from number 1 to whatever the final number is on the safe procedures on how to do it. Nice checklist for any type of facility, a real good resource, our way of really giving back to the industry and helping people with cleaner, safer facilities. So just watch for that. Today, we're going to talk about our clean cut deep stripping product. We've talked about it in some of the previous webinars that we've had, but this is a little different chemistry. Not like traditional strippers that you dilute at 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 4, 1 to 6, whatever. This is 1 quart bottle or a 946 ml bottle. Put in a whole entire average mop bucket with cold water. This bottle here makes between 4 and 5 gallons depending on the size, ready to go, ready to deep strip about 800 to 1,000 square feet on average. Much less money ready to use for you, much more labor efficient. So that's what we're going to spend today on there. So I believe we'll start now and let's show you how it works. Okay, so now you've seen us do our scrub and recoat before, and now we're going to do our deep stripping. Jen's actually making sure that we follow the proper protocol by dust mopping the surface first. We want to remove any potential staples, rock, grit, grime, anything, pieces of pallet and whatever that can actually permanently damage the substrate below. When I add an aggressive stripping pad and a heavy machine and in a friction motion, you can actually gouge that very easily. So first step, obviously, dust mopping, making sure you have your PPE that you're wearing and also your slip and fall barriers, cones, wedge signs, whatever on the surface. The rule really with wet floor signs too, if there's 2 doors, you need 2 signs. If there's 1 door, you need 1. If you have 5 doors, it's 5 signs. You can never have too many signs, and really for the price of $10, $20 a sign, depending on what you pick, what's the price of a lawsuit? It's a whole lot more than $10 or $20 or $50 in investment. The more signs, the better. So we've dust mopped that. Now we're going to deep strip. Most costly, most labor intensive, most specialized process that we really have in our field. And we've talked several weeks ago about our clean cut super concentrated stripper. Ecologo Certified, comes in a smaller package. The average dilution ratio is 1 to 18, where a typical stripper is about 1 to 2, 1 to 3, maybe 1 to 4. Far more economical, by far the least expensive ready-to-use stripping solution in the marketplace, and particularly that we carry. So very, very nice product. Will bite through, honestly, an honest 5+ coats every single time, no matter what the type of polymer that was down there before. Ecologo certified, very easy to use. How do I train people how to use it? You can look at our bucket. You can see that we've got it 3/4 full with cool water. I'm going to take the whole entire contents of this bottle and mix it in. You can see as it goes in, and I'm just doing it slowly because I want to avoid splash, you can see it's a little bit of a water-based solvent, so you can see it's sort of a little like oil and water, I guess you could say, in a mixture. And the important thing there that I really want to point out is that it needs to be mixed, okay? So I take my mop. You notice I'm using the same mop that I used for other previous stripping processes or scrubbing and recoating. I never want to use the same mop that's used for rinse or applying finish. So you can see there, I just give it a little bit of agitation and I'm ready to go. One of those bottles, 3/4 full of cold water. I've got an average of a 1:18 dilution ratio. Perfect dilution every single time, okay? So what I'm going to do is on the label, it clearly states 10-minute dwell time. So in the hopes of gaining labor efficiencies, what I want to do, I just simply want to take this and I want to put product down wet enough on the surface to remain wet for 10 minutes. I'm just working in a small area to show everybody here. And in fact, that's probably not wet enough. So one simple routine is not even touching the wringer, basically going like so and flooding, okay? Now, one thing you should be watching is this stripping product is very, very fast. It bites through those 5 coats really in less time, but follow the label instructions. So while we're waiting to respect that dwell time, let's get our equipment ready to go and we'll show you what pad we're going to use for this process. This is my typical 2-speed swing machine. It's unplugged and I've got Jen on standby ready to plug it in. And the pad selection here is a little bit different, right? I'm using a high productivity stripping pad. This is obviously a used one. It goes for many, many miles, lots of square footage. I personally like the 3M high productivity stripping pad. You can see through it. It cleans out easily. It's very, very aggressive. And when I go to a floor care demo, believe me, I want this pad because it's deep stripping, the most labor intensive. Let's get the job done right the first time. You'll also notice that I have a red pad below it, okay? And the reason why I do that is because if I don't put a cushion between there, you can see the thinness of that black pad. It can actually have these grippers damaging the floor permanently. So always put, it doesn't matter what color pad that you do, but make sure that you've got that between the two. And as always, basically centering. Oh, I left part of my glove there. Lining my cogs up, locking it on, making sure it's pressed, and then simply put the floor pad down, and that's it. I'm ready to go. So we've respected our dwell time of 10 minutes. Now let's just sort of do this again. We'll go in. Now, very critical, make sure you know where your cord is at all times, right? And you can see what I'm doing is I'm walking in to where I've actually scrubbed. So what does that mean? I've got good grip here, as opposed to if I walk on this, you can see it's like ice. It goes through. So be very, very careful. In fact, if you're inexperienced, you may want to go back and forth in this fashion, making sure that your feet are always on a bare surface below. It's not a bad safety precaution for you. If you're comfortable, you've got lots of years of experience, you can go a traditional way, left or right, okay? But if you're in doubt, a little least leery, just go back and forth and always keep your feet in that area. So we're just gonna simply take a nice slow approach, keeping our cord out of the slurry. You can't really notice this, but there's very little smell. Most of the smell is actually from the smell of the finish when it originally went down. I have a 2-speed machine here as well that, again, I always want to keep on low speed to prevent any hydroplaning and get the best job. So always good when you're deep stripping to go in 2 patterns. There will be low spots and high spots in the floor. The speed I'm going is a very good speed. You can use clean cut with a general auto scrubber as well, obviously larger areas. You can use that for the scrub and recoat process as well, but there's a lot of swing machines out there in the industry. There's a lot that still come in very handy, and with the weight and the pressure and the RPM, one of my go-to favorites as long as it's not a large square footage. So that's really the process. The only real time-consuming thing we've done is we've had to wait 10 minutes for that stripper to actually do its job. So you can see, I'm going to take this air. Jen, if you unplug me, that would be great. But what I know now is I can step on this surface, and you see my foot, that's right down to the bare tile. Very quick process for deep stripping, no slip and fall risk. That's what I love about Clean Cut. It bites through those 5 Honest Plus coats, gets you right down to the bare tile, allows the operator to really come in contact with a non-slippery floor, and away we go. Now what do we have to do? Squeegee, wet vac, damp mop, pick up with an auto scrubber, give it a water rinse, and we're ready to put finish down. So as you can see, we've just done our deep stripping process here with the machine. We haven't picked it up yet, but I just want to talk about one issue that you could be challenged with, and that is stripping by a dry back, okay? If it dries back on you, it'll turn into a porridge or an oatmeal, and believe me, it's very hard to re-strip if that happens. So one little industry tip there, take your same stripping solution and just basically apply it to the floor, just like so. You may want to mop it around a little bit depending on the surface. Keep that stripping solution wet. One excellent tip for you to save you a lot of aggravation and labor efficiencies. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to pick this stripping solution up. So I have Jen back operating the wet vac, and I'm just going to basically come in here. And I talked to you before about this squeegee. You have 2 choices. I can mop it up with wet mops, a lot of labor. I can vac it up and actually have my wheels and wand and cord running through, or I can use my squeegee. And Jen, if you want to turn your vacuum on. Okay, and I'll just show you this way. I can pull this solution towards Jen, so she doesn't have to do anything, run the machine through the solution at all. Okay, so you can see here. By the way, if you're hearing that thumping, that's the Karcher wet vac there that actually has a chamber in there that pushes air through it to actually clean the filtration mechanism to make sure you maintain constant suction. It's a great innovative idea. Okay, so we've just finished using our high pro pad on the floor there, deep stripping, and what you can see, there's quite a bit of polymer that's actually soft right now, but it'll actually harden and actually take away from the aggressiveness of the pad for the next job. So part of the custodial tasks that they should be doing is we always recommend a water rinse out when we're done, okay, and then hang it to dry. So you can see here how easy. That's what I like about a high pro pad. It rinses out very, very easy because it's not as dense as traditional pads. So you can see I've finished that all there, rinsed it all out. I'll turn my water off quickly, give it a little bit of a shake. Oh, sorry, this hose is a little bit of a wrestle. Give it a little bit of a shake, hang it to dry. And what I've done now is I've got a perfectly good pad ready to use again for thousands of square feet. And that's much more sustainable. And certainly I'll double or triple or even quadruple the life of it there. So that's a good thing for us all. Okay, so now we've picked it up there, and what we want to do is what we call a flood rinse, flood water rinse. We have deep strips, so we want to make sure it's good and wet, okay? And I really like doing this flood mop rinse, really letting it get down into the tiles. You can see the way I'm mopping, I'm just moving my legs basically, keeping my back straight. I'll flop the mop there too, and if you can see, okay, your job here is to really rinse any residual in polymer. You can see the white of the mop there. That's what I mean, it's picking up that possible residue. So always flop your mop, okay? Do your water rinse. What you can see too, I want to go along the baseboards to avoid any wicking. Watch my footing at all times, okay? And that's one nice little flood rinse. Now what I may do, I probably will, is give it a good rinse, a little bit of a drier approach this time, and pick up any excess. Okay. You can see I still got a few bubbles here and there. So I want to make sure I remove all of that, okay? Now one way you can do this is a wet mop procedure. What you can see is this is a very slow process. A faster way to do this, you can do it with a wet mop. Going back to our squeegee, as you can see, I can simply pull it back nice and thoroughly, okay, there. Almost dries the tile totally, and then I can pick up with a wet vac from there. Nice, easy way, labor efficiency.